Why did you choose Canada? Would you say roughly $100,000 was your total expense for like fees and the cost of living as a student?
100%.
And you're almost done paying off.
Yes.
I think in Canada you are allowed to do off-campus job. In United States you cannot. You can only work on campus. But in Canada you can do anywhere, correct?
Like the first job I got was like a $1,500 contract job, and it was so easy for me. I applied for 7 jobs. I only applied for jobs where I had referrals.
What? 7 jobs?
So I heard back from 6 of them. I chose to go for 3 of those, and then I got all 3 of those jobs.
I think you also have a very strong mindset, like knowing that I deserve 6 figure, I deserve senior role, and just not like stepping back on it.
So before I came to Canada, I applied for my PR. And one of the biggest plus points for Canada is immigration because they can't fire people. So
Oh, Santoshi, I am excited, inspired because you were like a founder and then you moved to Canada as a student. And now you're in a leadership role. We're going to talk about like PR process and like hiring processes and life in Canada, your journey. But before all of this, let's do quick intro. Who are you and like when did you come to Canada and like just a little bit about yourself.
awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very excited to be here to Yuri. I think you do some really, really cool work. So excited to be having this conversation. A little bit about myself. Well, I'm Santoshi, and my background professionally speaking is I'm currently the compliance and innovation officer at a private lending
Mm.
fintech startup, and it's been really fun. And prior to this, I was working at RBC, which is the biggest bank in Canada. Had a great couple of years there, and my initial background before coming to business school to Canada was I'm an engineer. I used to work as a consultant for Fortune 500 clients. I specialized with tech clients, and I essentially had a lot of like my portfolio consisted of data science, AI, lots of maths, and I did research for a bit. So it's been fun. It's been a lot of different things. And yeah, in between there, I ran a small business with my aunt. So it's been fun. I treat my career as an experiment, and it's about just enjoying what you go and seeing what works and going with the flow.
Mhm. Yeah, and obviously, clearly, I got opportunity to talk you a little bit. So I was like, okay, you have founded like it almost feels like a nonprofit, but maybe it's not a nonprofit. Swadeshi, which is again very social driven like initiative that you've done. But I want to go back. You are right now in like finance world, then you had consulting world, but you actually started with engineering and data science. So when did that happen, like how did that start?
Yeah, that's actually so interesting. I feel like I stumbled upon like analytics and data science before it was a fad. Uh, it actually really worked out. In fact, I feel like in an emergent tech space, even that 1 2 years of like early like proactiveness really pays off. So I was basically experimenting a lot with my career. I'm a semi-professional vocalist. My entire life I've just been training for music for like 10 15 years. All I used to do was music. And
Hmm.
during my summers during engineering, I would do internships. So I did like a couple of them, and during one of this like web development internship early in my first or second year, I just needed analytics for some of my project work. And so I did my first analytics course in like 2016 or something, and I loved it because I'm a math person. So since then I was like, okay, let's do this. So I would keep experimenting with different kinds of analytics projects and this and that. So by the time I was in final year, I'd published like an IEEE paper, and I really loved it. We worked with like football players and volleyball players and did all this fun research. I think I got to work with really cool people, and I landed in Mu Sigma, where I actually built my first conversational AI in 2019. So that was like the kickstart to my analytics, data
Wait,
science,
you
AI
built
sort of journey.
conversational AI in 2019. ChatGPT wasn't even a thing at that time.
It's so funny you're mentioning ChatGPT. In 2019, if you say AI, people will either be very excited and listen to you or run away. So there was no concept of AI. People thought tech was just annoying. Like, because all the business people, will have to sponsor you. They're the purse holders. They will have to sponsor you and finance you. And they don't want to listen to tech details, numbers, requirements. They hated AI. So it's
Hmm.
so cool to be at a time where everyone like is so excited about AI. Different times.
Yeah. So, okay, you finished your engineering 2019, and then you did Mu Sigma, and that was for like how long before you came to not United States, Canada?
So I was with Mu Sigma for 3 years,
Hmm.
where initially I was working in their research labs, so Mu Sigma labs, and I was working on that conversational AI. And for a little while, I was working on like a trading product. So it's all code, like Python development stuff. It was super fun. Um, we were, I think, 8 girls and 43 guys. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I moved into the consulting floor. So I went in, I was working with a Fortune 50 clients. They were technology client.
Hmm.
And for the next 2 years, I started off as like, a data science consultant. So I'd be working very hands on. And slowly, by the time I left, I was leading the team. And it was pretty cool. And then I moved in to Canada for business school.
Nice. Okay. And in during this journey, you also like founded Swadeshi. Like, what was that? Like, how did the idea came about? Like, why were you interested? What's going on? Is it still active?
Yeah, I truly, truly wish it was active, but I do think the जो हमने आग लगाई, that's still glowing, going. It's not called Swadeshi anymore, but
Hmm.
Swadeshi was basically my passion project with a couple of hearing and speech impaired artists. And this is completely inspired by my aunt. So my mom's sister, she's hearing and speech impaired. So from the age of like 2 or 3, my mom told me I picked up sign language before I learned how to talk properly.
Hmm.
So I'm quite well versed in sign language, and I even used to work with a lot of nonprofits for in the disability sector, just because I just think there are like so many different kinds of talented people. And then I saw how they would like basically they would like come up with these initiatives programs and they would roll it out. So I learned how to do programming, essentially idea to product types.
Hmm.
And then मैंने वो स्वदेशी में implement किया, which is like we would make all these handmade products. Initially, it started off with festive things, right? Like the Indian pop up stores. And then it evolved to like, corporate CSR stuff. And it was fantastic. We had a group of 3 artists who would make these things. And I would do the translation between, product market fit, ki what people want. And then I would take it back to them and help them source everything. And it was all handmade. And it was not a registered non-profit, but essentially I didn't keep any of the profits. It was all for the artists. And it was beautiful. It was fun.
Nice. Okay. I can see the business side of you, like why you chose to do business and why are you now in the business side of the things versus the hardcore tech, because you're like entrepreneur, you're a product manager in a way, which is like a next step to entrepreneur, anyway. So you decided to do masters in Canada where everyone is thinking about doing masters in US. Why? And I obviously did my masters in US 10 years ago. I still think people should do their masters in US, but I am curious to know, why did you choose Canada, and why did you consider US at all or no?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So I actually speak Telugu. I'm Telugu speaking, and like I have so much family in the US.
Where are you from?
Sorry.
Where are you from?
I've been in Bangalore throughout, but I'm from Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh. Like
Gotcha.
my
Yeah,
parents are from
and
there.
I can feel the Bangalore vibe.
Yeah. So it's so funny when I told like my family I'm going to Canada, they're like, "Oh, you didn't get into the US," which is so funny because I didn't even apply to the US. Actually, had a completely ulta like trajectory. So initially, I went to Germany when I was younger. I would say when I was like 12, 13. I
Hmm.
went there for a music competition. Like we were representing India, and it was like 7 other countries, and it was brilliant. Like I'm quite artistic too. Like I really enjoy the arts. So I loved the European culture. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Europe. And I studied 2 levels of German and everything. And then when I was coming closer to like actually during COVID, when I was like planning, okay, where do I go for my masters? I did this thing where I just spoke to like so many people. I was like, Europe, yeah, North America. So I was like, okay, North America is better. And then, based on a couple different things, I chose Canada.
Better, better how? Like in what way?
So I looked at a ton of different things. So one was like cultural acclimatization, the economy in
Hmm.
terms of like long term prospect. And one of the things I definitely want to do is start another company. And this time I want to do something which is profitable, large scale, something like that. So
Hmm.
what is the support and infrastructure you get in that country to start something? So that
Hmm.
can look like funding, visas, just like mentorship. So all of these were some of the things I was looking at. And also, this is going to sound crazy, but I wanted, like, I was like, okay, I need a place where I can travel to temples. Like, I'm a big, like,
Yeah.
ISKCON, like, I love my mandirs. So I was like, okay, which is a good middle ground.
Yes. Yeah. 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 And so you came to North America, and then in North America, you did not consider US. You were like Canada was because you wanted to start your own thing, etc. Is that main reason?
Yes, that's definitely one of the reasons. But also, so I have lots of friends and family in the US,
Hmm.
and I feel like the lifestyle was a big part of it. Lifestyle meaning, like, how when you're working for a company, if you're H1B sponsored by, like, a different quarters on the West Coast and you're on the East Coast, you have to pick up everything and sort of move. Right. And I did not want to do stuff like that. Like, so I feel like a good part of my life is stable and a good part of my life is chaotic. So I
Hmm.
can't do all those experiments in my life, in my career, in finances, all of that, if I don't have like a good circle of friends, and like, I have to work out and eat well, and my room needs to feel like home. So for all of those reasons, I chose Canada, because I feel like I can be successful very anywhere I go. I just needed an environment that can let me do, like, whatever I want to.
Hmm. Gotcha. Okay. And why business, and why not like go more on the, I mean, business because you had the interest in business and you were like, that's my ikigai and I should just keep going there.
This is actually, I feel like I didn't know the answer. In fact, when I applied to school for like masters, I did both MS and business. Applied to very few courses. I only applied to three courses, three universities. I'm very selective. Usually, even when I apply for jobs, when I graduated business school, I applied for seven, heard back from six, got three. But I wouldn't apply for more. Like, I know what I want, and I'm like, मैं पहले homework करके then I will do my, like, then I will apply.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure about MS and business, and then slowly I sort of uh, like gravitate towards it. I would talk to more people, and I like finally decided to go to a business school, but there I chose like an AI and business sort of master's. So like
Mm.
product manager, tech lead, those were options, like I could continue that way.
Yeah. Okay. And this was 2022.
2022 is when I came to Canada, yes.
Nice. Okay. Uh, is the process same? I guess I don't know what the process is for Canada. Is this pretty easy process in terms of immigration and admission? Admission, I'm assuming
I
you
think
apply, you get the result, and then what's the visa process look like?
Yeah, I think it's very similar to the US, which is like, GRE, GMAT, then applications, you will hear back from them, and then, you pay like a deposit and confirm your seat, and then you apply for your visa. So it's pretty straightforward. Although I think now they're like changing things. My dad just sent me an article saying Canada is making it like they're restricting student immigration. So they're changing some immigration policies. But yeah, it's the same process as US. Apply, once you get your seat, visa.
Visa, do you still have to do the visa interviews or no? I don't think you have
So
to, right?
Canada does not have visa interviews. You just have to give them supporting documents, and
Mm.
then they'll basically like approve or reject.
Stamp it. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then what's the cost of living and what is the cost? Like, I want to understand the difference between US. So in US, it can go anywhere from, I would say, $30,000 US dollars to it can be $100,000. What about Canada?
Yeah, I think it's the same. It's
Hmm?
it's like a full spectrum. So one of the things I knew was that I just wanted to be in one city.
Mm.
Like I applied for my university, and my university is like 3 kilometers from where I live. Downtown is 6 kilometers from where I live, and I've been in the same neighborhood for 3 years.
Mm.
So it's I do think this is not very common. People usually live on campus. So I love traveling, walking, hiking, everything. So I loved staying off campus. All my friends would be on campus. And I noticed all of us, even now, like after graduation, you can see all of us living in and around Toronto. Toronto is the most expensive city
Mm.
in the country. You can see a huge range of cost of living.
Okay.
So to give you a context, some of my friends, their rent is 100% more than mine. Like
Wow.
it's quite crazy. So I
Mm.
think your cost of living will be what you make of it.
Mm.
But I like the ballpark that you gave. I would say, let's say, it 30,000 is, I would say, like you can like live it up. So
Mm.
yeah, 20 to 30,000 is a very comfortable living. Like especially if you don't have a car. If it's just like, you've planned out your residential and food. I cook a lot of my food, and I go
Mm.
out a lot. I'm like super social, so I travel quite a bit. I think you can do 20 to 30 very comfortably, but a lot of my friends have a more expensive lifestyle, so it's a super person to person thing.
Yeah. What about like student cost of living as a student, and then also like your end? It was the master's 2 years program.
So I did a 1 year master's, which was great because when I was in master's itself, I actually had I was doing an internship,
Mm.
and like you're allowed to do an internship up to 20 hours. Now I think that in between you could do it for 40 hours. It was paid, and it was really great. And did you ask about the cost of living when you're
As a
in school?
student and tuition fees.
Okay, so the tuition fees is super different. So you can opt for something like a diploma, which is like, not at a university, it's at a college, which is very, very reasonable. And then tech programs and universities will be in the ballpark of like 20 to 65,000. So that's a range. And business schools usually are quite expensive. So
Mm.
my program was above that. It was more expensive than that. And but then I also graduated, and I got like multiple six-figure jobs, and now I'm almost done paying off like my debt. In addition to that, I have like a lot of investments, and so there's options. Like in Canada compared to the US, you'll have refinancing options. So because I worked at a bank, I had like a line of credit which is much lower than any Indian loan, and my loan is actually a very good low interest loan from the US. So I
Mm.
financed from the US. So it's very interesting. So quite a few options for tuition there.
When you say you finance it from US, who are you talking about? Are you talking?
Actually, I'm talking about Empower. So my
Okay.
loan is from Empower US. So
Mm.
what's happened is now I have banking in the US as well. So I have my own bank in addition to Empower. And because I've been, like my loan is from the US, I have a very high credit score. So I can
Mm.
actually access a lot of financial instruments and stuff in US, Canada, and in India now. So it worked out really nicely.
Interesting. So you took for your master's education, you took a loan from Empower.
That's right. That's right.
Gotcha. Okay. Uh, I mean, I partnered with Empower for very long time. How was the process with them? Like, was it all online? I'm assuming. And how quickly, or how easy was it? Was it hard? Like, what was the process like?
Yeah, I think the process with Empower is really smooth. So I hate paperwork, because of which I will do it like 20 years in advance. I will just do it like as early as possible. And because of that, I actually did my paperwork with Empower like almost a year before, just when I was like, okay, I'm studying for my exams. I applied to Empower, and I got like a pre-approved loan in 2 weeks, and I got a very low interest rate, and it was awesome. In fact, because my process went so smoothly, I recommended two, three of my friends, and they also took Empower, and
Mm.
I got a bunch of gift cards, referral
Oh
coupons, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
still
They have
remember.
that $300. At least I know they have that $300 referral program.
So
Yeah.
I keep joking about it. Like Empower bought all of my business school blazers for me.
That is amazing. That's cool. So, okay, so would you say roughly $100,000 was your total expense for like fees and the cost of living as a student?
100%. I would say that's a good ballpark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
And
good ballpark.
you are saying that was 2022 and it's 2025 when we are filming this, and you're almost done paying off.
Yes. In fact, I actually have a very I have a very high risk appetite. So I take a lot of loans. I invest. I will take our
So
liquidate
you are that
investments.
leveraging the dead person type of person.
Yes, I'm a leverage type person, but that's also because I study even though I was not in finance, from way before I've been investing. I
Mm,
financed some of my Canadian studies through my investments myself. But Canada
mm,
is really cool. Like you'll get a 1:1 line of credit within like a year of working, which is
mm,
pretty cool, I would say. As an international like immigrant, it's damn nice.
nice. Okay. Uh, this is probably off topic, but are you more of a Dave Ramsey person or are you more of a Robert Kiyosaki person?
Hmm. I would actually say I'm a little bit of both.
Okay,
So I
interesting.
do have my index funds, boring investments, like
Huh.
automate karo, don't look at them. And I also want to become an angel investor. So I have a private investment and I've been I think for the past 5 years researching fintech startups. Some of my friends are like Forbes 30 under 30, like founders and I'm always like stalking these founders. So I want to become a founder myself. But to thoda sa, lots of boring investments and lots of fun investments, both of them.
Yeah. So Dave Ramsey is more of like, don't take debt, don't take debt at all, and pay it off as soon as possible. But the Robert, obviously Kiyosaki, poor dad, rich dad, is like take as much debt as you can and use other people's money and become rich. Basically, that's kind of his fundamentals. Like in your case, what you were saying is like low interest rate. So, for example, what a lot of people they like, okay, if my interest rate is 6%, but instead of paying that off, I can just use that money, and if I make 10% somewhere else, why should I pay that off, like, in a way? So it sounds like you're mix of both, which is what I'm also kind of mix of both.
Yeah, I feel like it can become a little scary
Mm,
because even if it's 6%, well, after the second, third year when it's compounding, it'll snowball.
yeah.
So I pay off a good percent of the principal once I do the math is now making sense. So
Mm.
I'm a big numbers girl. I have like an Excel sheet and I track my net worth. I'm damn poor still, but I know that that Excel sheet will look better very soon.
Yes, that's amazing. Okay, so talking about Canada education system, so you did 1 year master, and I think in Canada you are allowed to do off-campus job. In United States, you cannot. You can only work on campus, but in Canada, you can do anywhere. Correct?
That is correct. Your understanding is absolutely right. So when I was in school, actually, it's really cool. So I cracked an internship with like Canada's largest AI research center as a teaching assistant. So I used to teach a bunch of other data scientists all these like emergent AI concepts, like how do you adapt your models and all of that. And it was epic. Like I had a like the first job I got was like a $1,500 contract job, and it was so easy for me because I was already really good at it. So I had to put just like 10 to 15 hours in the material and then like teach it, and it was like $1,500. It was
And this is
fantastic.
not your campus job. This is like you
No,
found it
it's not.
outside.
So Vector Institute is like a very big AI research institute. They're like a
Mm.
non-profit, and the godfather of AI,
Mm.
Geoffrey Hinton, he's the founder of that. Actually, it's so funny. So I'm obsessed with him. Like he's this revolutionary in AI. And then less than 1 year later, I actually presented on a stage like right after him as one
Wow.
of my public speaking things. So Canada is very small that way. Like if you're able to do well, like your networks will compound really nicely.
Gotcha. Okay. How did you find that? I mean,
The
it's so
internship.
yeah, like the job, yeah, part-time job, and you said in the first semester, so obviously it's off campus, and um, it's really hard to get something in United States. So I'm curious, how did you find it in Canada?
That's a really good question. So the way I found it was pretty straightforward. So they have a job portal on these different company websites.
Hmm.
So I think a good place to start is to like do your research. Like what kind of jobs are there, what kind of part-time positions are there, etc. A lot of my friends were doing like part-time jobs on campus and stuff. I've never done a blue collar job, and I knew that I want to like focus. My end goal was I need to get multiple six-figure jobs. I didn't want to do a lot of time intensive jobs. Like I don't want to give too much time.
Mm,
So then I
amazing.
just like researched thoda sa what's happening in the market, and Vector Institute pays really well.
Mm,
So and I just looked at their jobs, and they, I saw other people also doing similar roles. So I kept a lookout, and I actually got the first one I applied for. And they want people, who are applying, who are very intentional. So in your application, usually it shows, when you've applied for 100 jobs, what quality mein pata chalta hai, versus when you applied for 5 jobs and your cover letter is like, yes, I chose this job because of XYZ reason,
mm.
and these are the only things I want to do. I feel like you won't find someone else like me because of XYZ. So I think that quality
You,
really.
yeah, yeah. So you were more like deep diving into the job application, understanding the description, and like rewriting your resume, etc. Is my guess.
That's right. Interestingly, I feel like, so I do a lot of like career development help. So, like, a lot of people send me their resumes and all of that. And I don't think it's that different. Like, my resume in India versus my resume in Canada, in the US, like, I actually look at some of my friends' resumes in the US as well. It's not that different. It's all pretty standard. I think the biggest difference in Canada is networking. Like, they have people from like 200 different countries in Toronto, like the most multicultural city. So they can't tell, like, let's say you have 3 years of experience, they don't know if your 3 years of experience in India is the same as 3 years of experience in Canada. So if
Mm,
you are able to translate that by, just building a relationship with someone, just having a conversation, and they're like, actually, you know what, Santoshi seems really smart. Like she's conversant, she's qualified. Like, we spoke about a problem at work, so she knows, usko some work ka
mm.
problems and like, situations samajh mein aa raha hai. So they're able to say, okay, I think it's the same. Her
Yeah,
experience
yeah,
is the
yeah,
same as Indian
yeah.
experience.
I also think that might be a Bangalore thing, maybe. I'm not sure. So let me ask you the question that I'm like thinking about. Uh, Obviously, as an international student, I've like worked with so many of them. Now I've coached many of them. They are very shy and they are introverted. Some are introverted. I'm also introvert, but they're shy.
Really,
They
you think you're introverted?
I am introvert. So, but I also feel like they don't know. They're thinking like too much in their head. Like, what are these people gonna think of me when I go to network? Like, what do I say?
I love that
How
question.
how did you like network? Did you not worry about like what people are gonna say? Like, obviously, you are an extroverted person. I can easily tell. So, but like, how? Like, what was your thought process when you were networking? Were you worried about what people are gonna think of you?
That's honestly such a genuine problem that most people have. For me, I feel like I didn't have. I'm not an overthinker. Like I'm not very shy. In fact, I love talking to strangers. So when I came to Canada, it was so nice. Like, when I just walk down the street, people smile at you, and they're so friendly. In fact, in my first month, way before many networking and all that, before I started all of that stuff, I went to like a Tim Hortons, and I just used my card, to come by transit. But then I ordered, like, I was going to a friend's place, so I ordered coffee and pastries, and my card is not working, and I don't have any other card with me. And there was so there was an outage. There was like a small telecom glitch that day,
Yeah.
and nobody's cards were working, but I didn't know that. So I was like, okay, you know what? Forget it. You can cancel my order. I'm so sorry. And a lady who was standing in front of me, she came back and she said, don't worry about it. And she paid for my coffee and pastries.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, can I send it to you? Can I interact it to you? Can I matlab, Google Pay,
Yeah, yeah.
PayPal
GPay
kind of thing?
you,
Transfer it,
Venmo you type of thing. Yeah.
Venmo you kind of thing. And she's like, no, why don't you just pass it along? Do something nice for somebody else.
Mm,
And that's a very nice attitude a lot of people have. They're very open minded, and I found a lot of people who I spoke to, in fact, a lot of the people I spoke to, they themselves weren't extroverts.
mm,
So a lot of extreme, especially in tech, yeah, Vector Institute is like, everyone's a researcher, PhD scientist, masters, published. They're all super nerdy. I was actually one of the most talkative people in the entire company. So it's it's okay. I understand, it's very understandable that, like,
Mm.
people are scared, but if you actually pause and like notice, I think a lot more people here are reserved, so it's
Mm.
okay, like you can still talk to them. It's
What's your advice to the international student? Let's say if they are introverted, they are shy, they are scared to talk to other people. What advice would you tell them, like give them?
I think the biggest thing is, at least I can speak about Canada and Toronto.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people here themselves either moved newly to the city, even the locals, like even Canadians, most of them are not from Toronto. Most
Mm.
of them are not from these big cities. They would have moved into that city. They would have experienced a lot of similar things, meeting new people, adjusting, finding a house. So this is a very relatable experience. So I would say, um, re- realizing that you're not the only person who's feeling awkward, or you're not the only person who's trying to break the ice with
Mm.
professionals. It's a good frame of mind to have.
Mm.
So you can just have an open conversation, even if it's small, even if it's a very small, initiative, like just go to someone in an event and join someone's conversation and say, hi, I just wanted to join the conversation.
Mm.
Or, how's your day going? People hear small talk a lot, and that, they'll bounce off your energy. You just ask them one question, they themselves will like add to the conversation. So that initial first step can be pretty powerful.
Mm. Nice. Okay. So you finished your masters in a year, so 2023. At this point, you have some experience in Canada. You finished your masters. What does the job market look like? So 2023 in United States was horrible job market. Like people were just not getting jobs. In your case, like like how many jobs did you apply to? How did you get the job? Like what was the process like?
Yeah, I think the sentiment was the same in Canada, that, like,
Mm.
the job market's so horrible, like people don't want to hire. But interestingly, I found out the actual situation wasn't like that. So
Mm.
I applied for 7 jobs. I only applied for jobs where I had referrals.
What? 7 jobs? People are gonna like be so mad at you when they see this video.
I couldn't tell. Yeah, I couldn't tell if I'm like genius or crazy, because people around me were applying for like 120 jobs, 150 jobs, 50 internships, and I'm like, what are you doing? That's crazy. Because I couldn't find that many jobs only. Like, I couldn't find that many jobs I would want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, see, that's very interesting thing that you just said. You couldn't find the jobs that you want to do versus people were just applying to any job because they're just desperate to find something. That's very interesting thing that you mentioned because I think you were very diligent of like what you really want to do, and you would only apply if that fits you and you like them, and so that makes you a much better candidate. Okay, anyway, keep going. I'm fascinated. 7 jobs, how many job offers?
So I heard back from 6 of them for interviews, and I chose to go for 3 of those, and then I got all 3 of those jobs. So, and all of them were like, it was like one was a senior data scientist, senior consultant, and senior manager, and then I chose one of them.
And the process was just purely cold application, like you just applied and you got heard back.
Not at all. I didn't apply for anything cold application. So
Oh
I was,
wow.
I'd networked with a lot of people,
Hmm.
um, and I think that's one of the biggest advantages of
In
going
the
to.
1 year you were in Canada.
That's right. So I just
Okay.
spent a lot of that time talking to people, like trying to figure out, okay, what are the kind of jobs here? What's the lifestyle here? What is the work life balance in different companies? So I knew that I wanted a job in RBC because, um, like in Canada, people go from McKinsey to RBC.
Hmm.
So actually, just before I left the bank, one of the teams that I got, like, was talking to join was the strategy team, and they're all like ex McKinsey, BCG, etc. Because RBC is like a really big bank. You can do every kind of job in that bank. So I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I want to see what this is all about.
Hmm. Okay. And so how did you like so what it was just purely networking and then people referred you to the job? Is that how you got it?
Kind of. I think There needs to be like a funnel. So I had a funnel in my mind. I'm a super visual person, so anything in my mind, I'll think of it
Yeah.
like a process, right? So I went, okay, what the same as which country do I want to go to? It's like which jobs do I want? And I
Mm.
really liked working as a programmer. I'm awesome at coding. I love it. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll go like as a Python dev, senior data scientist. Okay. And I loved working as a consultant. So I was like, okay, let's do consultancies. And then I was very intrigued by the opportunity to pivot into finance, because after a business school degree you can move into a new space. So I was like, okay, now how do I combine these three? So I would actually go talk to people, like people who are doing these roles, and I'm like, okay, this is my background. Do I need to learn something? Do I need to do this? They'd look at, and then I'd have a very genuine conversation with them. And if a job opening comes, they would very happily refer me, because by then we've
How,
already
where,
spoken a few times.
and where would you find these people? So fascinating. I'm just fascinated. That's why I'm asking these questions. So,
Yeah,
like, how you said you would talk to a lot of people. How do you find these people? Where do you find these people? Is it in person? Is it on LinkedIn? Like, how do you network?
I love that. That's such a real question. So I'm a professional serial stalker. And you can actually find these people in both online and offline events. So
Okay.
I went for a lot of in-person events for sure. But I also just like used to reach out to people who went to events themselves. So
Mm.
I didn't reach out to like 100,000 people randomly. So I cannot believe till now that I didn't have LinkedIn Premium. So
You're like a very unconventional international student, but keep going.
no, I was like, I'll get it. So initially I didn't get it. And then
Yeah.
at that time I didn't need it. Like now they're more like, they won't give you all these features. Back then you could send a little message with every
Ah,
text.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I was like,
Correct.
मुझे और क्या चाहिए? Like that itself, I used to just send one small message, and
But like many people just hit connect and don't even send that as well. That is so weird. So I'm so glad that you actually took time and you like use the like free 300 characters given to you. But yeah, many people would just so lazy
those
that
were my
just
favorite, यार. Those
yeah.
300 characters are the best. Why will I need LinkedIn Premium? मुझे बस वो एक paragraph दे दो.
So what would you write? So first, how would you character, like, how would you, so funnel
Find
mein you first think कि yeah, these are the three roles. Now I need to talk to the people who are doing these role. How do you, and then like, is it just mainly looking at these big tech companies like McKinsey's and Bain, and then reaching out to them, or like what is the cat, how do you find
yeah.
these people?
Okay, so let me give you the whole spiel then. Okay, you
Yeah.
asked it. So
Yeah.
I had a few constraints. So I think it's really important to set your constraints. That's how you'll narrow your scope, because you don't want all the jobs, to be honest. So like
Hmm.
I knew I wanted a six-figure job. I knew. So one of the most common thing that happens when you're an international student anywhere, if you worked a few years, and like for example in India, I would become a senior consultant, but when I
Hmm.
come to Canada, they will try to give you the same consultant role.
Yeah.
Same in the
Yeah.
US. You're a consultant, they'll try to give you a consultant role. So
Yeah.
now what you're doing is you're not just applying for a job, you're punching above your weight class.
Yeah.
You're saying, I was very sure I'm not taking a data scientist. I'm either senior data scientist, senior consultant, senior manager. So that was a fix for me.
Mm.
And then I was like, another thing was I didn't want to apply to the big four or
Mm.
to the
Oh,
consultancy
interesting.
firms, because I wanted work life balance. The
Mm.
reason is because I wanted to spend this time building my own network of people
Mm.
who are entrepreneurs or like ultra high net worth individuals. And it's so funny, actually. That's how I got my next job. I didn't interview
Mm.
for it. I just had a network of so many people who,
Mm.
like, which was what I wanted to do. I used all of my time towards that. But you need to know what you don't want. Are you, so some of my friends were like, nay, I'm going to apply to FANG. Next 3 years, I don't care. I'm young. I'm going to work, which is a totally valid strategy, but you need to have that. You need to know like what kind of job you want. So with all of those constraints, I feel like there were very few companies in the Canadian market offering six-figure senior consultant work life balance wala job. So
Mm.
it was a very small pool. And the way I met these people were, I would look for people who are public speaking at events. So
Interesting.
anybody who's taking out time like this, right? Like this
Yeah.
podcast, if I'm taking out time to come and talk to someone, it means I'm a proactive person.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
these people on these, event posters, I would reach
Mm.
out to all of those people. Like, hey, I saw that you spoke about something. I couldn't be there, but I'm interested in that. Would love to catch up for a coffee. And I love meeting people in person. I'm like, let's meet in person,
Mm.
but Zoom calls also work.
Mm, okay. So if you're saying, I love this. So if someone were to watch this video and they're like, okay, Santoshi is like mind blowing. First of all, your mindset is amazing, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I loved what the conversation was, and they would send you a LinkedIn request. Hey Santoshi, I would love mentorship. I'm planning to go to Canada, and I'm choosing exactly the same university, which I don't think we revealed you which university you went to. Which university did you go to?
So I went to York University, Schulich School of Business. It's in Toronto.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's say they are going to the same thing. I'm like incoming student. You're my alumni. Would you reply to that?
Yeah, I actually every week I take out time and I reply to anyone who reaches out to me. So today also, this one. So I know that now the term is like it's July, right? So people are graduating in August, and it's like a high pressure situation for people. So I heard from this one girl. She sent out a very like personalized message. She was like, "Hey, I spoke to this one person. She recommended that you might be the right person for this." And
Mm.
I accepted her LinkedIn request, and I forgot to reply to her. Then she followed up, so I was like,
Mm.
okay, just take my WhatsApp number. I will talk to you while I'm cooking.
Okay. But hopefully people don't start, because once they start watching this, they hopefully they don't start asking your WhatsApp number. But regardless, so this is how you would reach out to people. I think the first step is, I know you mentioned like knowing what you want and all of this. I think you also have a very strong mindset, like knowing that I deserve six figure, I deserve senior role, and just not like stepping back on it. I think international students would be at a point where, like, I don't think they even spend time, like, you know polishing their mindset and like working on that having that strong mindset, because they're so busy in, like, doing on campus jobs, and then they focus on getting full time. So I loved this whole conversation. So I kudos to your mindset. Then you would figure out roles, then you would figure out people, you would reach out to them through LinkedIn, through in person. Now you're building this relationship. How does the job conversation comes up? Like, do you tell them that, hey, I see that this company is hiring and you're working for them, I would love to like get a referral? Like, is that how you approach it?
So, one of the things I really recommend, especially if you have time, is just talk to people in general. So, you know what I talked about, which is the scoping, right? Like saying, I want this much money, I want this role, I want XYZ. How do you know that? So, you don't
Mm,
actually know that initially. So, I would
mm,
just be like, hey, like, what's your experience like? How's your work life balance? And I spoke to a few people, and then I realized some firms have a very intense work culture and some
mm,
are good. So then I would like be like, okay, I spoke to a few people, the international students, and I realized some people are able to do that. They're able to come in with experience and transition to a senior role, some are not. So these are the things you want to know from a coffee chat. So it's literally just a
yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
And I urge you to not make it like, you don't want it to feel
Transactional.
transactional from the first sentence. If possible, if it's like a very last minute thing, like for example, like now it's July, people are graduating in August. A lot of people, they message me, I can see that, please just get on a call with me and give me a referral while our tone. So I get it, because I am an international student, but people here, like in Canada, that's not a concept. Like people don't usually have a very transactional relationship. They're taking out time because they'll actually support you. It's crazy. Like you're looking, sometimes I found out one thing when I was applying for, when I was doing the coffee chats. Some people were like, oh, you're looking for a job, looking for a house. I know a friend who's renting a house there, I can connect you. Like they're so nice, people here are actually so nice. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
worth not being so
So,
transactional with them.
yeah. So building long-term relationships. Okay. Um, in how's the Canada immigration now? Like in United States, you get OPT and then you get 2 years extra if you're a STEM major. So that's 3 years of work permit. What about Canada? Like, do you have something like that?
Great question. So From when I came to Canada to now, I think it's changed for the better
dramatically?
for people who've done masters. So when I did a 1 year course, even though I did a 1 year masters, so it was basically really intense. Like it was a 16-month course packed into a 1 year course. So I didn't have a break,
Hmm.
and I paid the same as a masters, but I got only a 1 year permit, 1 year work permit.
Okay.
Currently, right now, like basically just after my year, everyone who's doing a master's, even if it's a 1 year master's, you get 3 year work permit. So it's
Oh,
better,
interesting. Okay.
yeah, it's better now. But
Yeah.
in terms of so that's basically the work.
Yeah. So, and then what happens after 1 year? Like, how do you continue to work if you want to? I mean, in your case, you have PR, right?
That's right. So I feel like I was very cognizant of how this method worked. So before I came to Canada, I applied for my PR. And
Oh.
I didn't get it directly. So I was just on the fence. Like if I applied 6 to 8 months before when I actually applied, I would have just got my PR. I wouldn't have to do a master's. But then they tightened up PR, and now they're tightening up work, like study permit, work permit stuff. So I understood the permanent residency system, and
Hmm.
usually there's a few different PR tracks, and one of them is if you have 1 year work permit, you'll get your PR right away. So I had only 1 year, 1 year permit, and I needed 1 year experience, which means my goal was I just needed a job when I graduated. Like I
Hmm.
should have negotiated, finalized, and started my job as soon as I graduate, so that I
Hmm.
can secure my PR. But the good news is I actually got my PR even before 1 year through a different. It's like a STEM program for people who have many years of like tech experience, so you can get it
Hmm.
through that program.
And isn't it like completely point based or merit based in
It
Canada?
is. It's fully merit based. So PR is completely merit based. So I do think it's very important for people to do the math. Like you need to. It's like you're playing a board game. You need to know the rules. So
Hmm.
I've noticed a lot of people come to Canada with 2 years of experience from India or less than 2 years. And that's really dangerous because then you might not get points for your immigration. And
Hmm.
one of the biggest plus points for Canada is immigration, because if you look at the numbers, like your ROI in different countries might be better. But if you get your immigration in Canada, like if you have a PR, you can make investments, you can start a company, you can do so many things. Like,
Hmm.
for example, my work in Canada, they sponsored my US visa. So I got my US appointment in 2 weeks. People wait 2.5 years. So Canada
Yeah.
has other perks, but you need to know how to get that. So I would recommend doing a little bit of homework before, if you're looking at Canada, before coming to Canada, what is the strategy?
Nice, love it. I would love to like bring you back and like talk more. As you know, my curiosity is sparking like more and more. I'd love to like bring you
You're
back.
really high into interviewers. I appreciate it so much. You're the sweetest.
Yeah. So okay, I want to. What is the job market right now? Like, I want to end there and then ask you a question on leadership. But before that, what's the job market right? Like in United States, it's not super friendly for international student. But in your case, you only apply to seven, so I don't know what to ask you.
Honestly, I think it's the same. So the US and Canadian market are very similar.
Hmm.
It's because a lot of US companies have their Canadian offices and they hire very similar investment strategies. You'll see it's almost like a mirror. Like the US
Yeah.
dollar will drop, Canadian dollar will drop, US
What
dollar
about
will rise,
tax?
Canadian dollar will rise. So it's very similar. And basically, what happened, especially in a tech context, is during COVID they overhired.
Yeah.
A lot of companies overhired, and now especially in Canada, they can't fire people. So
Oh,
because when you fire someone, when you terminate a person, that person gets insurance from
acha.
the government. So companies report how many people they fire. So
Hmm.
it's easier not to hire people than to fire people from a
Interesting.
numbers point of view, because leadership, like in any big organization, they are more interested, why are you firing people? because over here it's really looked down upon. So you will see, even compared to US में बहुत ज़्यादा layoffs हुए. In Canada it's lesser, so it's more conservative. But
Mm.
because of that, they would rather not hire the wrong person than hire the wrong person and fire them. They don't want to fire people. One of the roles I got, which was a senior data scientist role at one of the neo banks, they were like, that position that I got, they had it open 3 times before this and they hired nobody. And they're like, we'd
Mm.
rather not hire the wrong person. Because
Wow.
once you hire people in Canada, you have so many benefits. Healthcare is free. Like they'll give you, you get insurance. So for a year after you are laid off, the government pays insurance. So they don't want to do that, and they're more conservative. That being
Mm.
said, they are open to literally. I feel like over here everything is a negotiation and a conversation. If that job doesn't exist, they will create it for you, which is crazy.
Mm.
Like, I
Mm.
had no business getting a senior manager job in a bank. I have no financial qualifications. I just negotiated with them. I told them it's going to be more expensive for you to teach a banking audit accountant person AI than to take me and teach me banking. And they were like, yeah, say yeah.
Nice. Okay. So, in your opinion, job market is similar, but if you have built relationship and if you know how to like strategize your job hunting, you,
100%.
you can make it
In
basically.
fact, you'll see one of the biggest advantages of North America, both Canada and US, is people here, you'll see a lot of businesses are owned by people. It's not like MNCs. In India, we have that concept of huge, large scale MNCs. Here, a lot of organizations are like family run, like smaller companies, pay really well. In fact, they pay
Mm.
better than the big fours and stuff. And these people want folks who are like, who want to learn, because their kids don't want to take that business.
Yeah.
Children don't want to do what their parents are doing. So
Mm.
one of my housemates, he was working in this company, and the owner of that business, and it was such a profitable business, was willing to sell it to him if he promised to take it over. Like, this guy's like my age, there was no way he was going to buy it, but he said, I it's so hard for me to find someone who will keep my business alive. So people really
Wow.
care about the person you are. So if you build a
Mm.
relationship, you're able to, like, have a conversation, they'll take a bet on you, which
Mm.
is it's the opposite of what happens in India. India is a numbers game. They'll put your
Mm.
resume through a filter, they will filter by GPA and cut off. Here it's not at all like that.
True. Yeah. 100%. I mean, I think very similar to US, but less friendly than Canada. I don't think they would just easily give away the business. But nice, amazing. What's the salary people make? Like for the senior consultant role, like range. Like what do people make typically?
Yes. So if you go to a big four, you'll start anywhere from 75K plus based on how much experience you have. For example, you're a senior consultant in data and transformation, tech transformation, will be paid more. Supply chain or whatever, like, human resource, human capital, it'll be on a spectrum. So it'll start from 75 plus, and then depends on which company. So if you go to like the MBBs, they will pay you like 180, 200, but very hard to crack. And in between you have these boutique, very high paying consultancies, like Tiger consultancy. It's like specialized in tech, or um, there's a few more. Basically, like, they specialize in
Yeah,
like
yeah,
financial. In
yeah.
There's one consultancy that does just like audit and, like, basically what EY does. So they do consultancy, but like from an audit accountancy perspective. So these boutique consultancies will pay more, but it's a full spectrum. Like, I would say 75 to like 200, 180,
200.
200
And you're talking Canada
in Canadian
dollars.
dollars. Yes,
Yeah, gotcha.
you
Okay.
can earn more too, but I think it's like, at least in the early career stage, that's a bit aspirational.
Nice. And what's the tax look like? I mean, I'm curious now because you are also finance person. So
Yeah,
Toronto
no, the
sounds like
taxes
a very
are brutal. Like, they are khatarnak. So people need to do the math. Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you need to make your RRSP, retirement contributions. These are pre-tax contributions. So your tax slab will literally come down. TFSA, all these are tax-free investment options. So Canada really, really encourages people to invest. which is
Mm.
like the opposite of what I felt when I was working in India. There's no like
India
structure.
is not less credit market, no, it's more debit market. So, huh.
Yes, it's a debit market. So here in Canada, you should invest. The more you invest, the more you save on taxes, and
Mm.
the taxes are quite bad based on your income. So when I switched to this startup, I actually took a pay cut.
And after you make like half a million, so you're probably paying like 50% tax.
I'll let you know when I get there. But I
Right.
took a pay cut, and I'll be getting a lot of like equity. And because of
Mm.
that, my tax slab changed, and I got like a huge tax rebate. Because
Oh,
of my tuition and the tax slab change, I got like a lot of money back from the government, which is like quite impressive. So I think you should really learn how tax works here. You should file your own taxes.
you mentioned something about refinancing your Empower loan. So Canada will take like Empower loan and refinance it with Canadian
So
banks.
it's your choice. So I partially refinanced it with my line of credit, and then so basically a personal line of credit is a low interest um, loan,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And you can use it to refinance loan from India, from US. So because I was working in a bank, I have very low charge transitions between, like I can send money to US, Canada without too much tax,
Mm.
like tax
Yeah, the
charges.
foreign
So
forex.
I preferred refinancing from US to Canada, and I also prefer taking a loan from Empower versus some of the Indian banks, in addition to the khatarnak interest rate. um, it was also the currency problem. So you'll see
Yeah.
now that the Indian currency has dropped, which means, if you were basically like if you're earning in dollars, you could like pay it off faster. But it's also possible that the other way around is possible, which happened
Yeah,
initially when I came here. The rupee got stronger, so that is too much of a discrepancy. Canadian dollar, US dollar will be the same. So
yeah, yeah.
that was a
Nice.
good.
Gotcha. Love it. I have loved the conversation. I can't wait to bring you back. But you've been like, I love the mindset. You have that leadership, entrepreneurship mindset. What's your like philosophy on leadership, and if you have any?
Yeah, so I'm a very, very spiritual, philosophical person. In
Mm.
fact, this weekend I was at the Rath Yatra. So it's a chariot festival on Toronto Island for like 2 days. And, we were interviewing like spiritual, speakers, and like, folks who've been in this space for a while. And one of the focus is career. And I actually want to like make this a very common conversation with people, but I think we should do what we feel like in our career. And that means that we'll all have a natural propensity, and leadership and like entrepreneurship is like that too. Like some people are very comfortable with chaos. So if you're very comfortable with imperfection, you're not a judgmental person, like you don't other people don't irritate you by just existing, you know you're able to sort of understand, okay, sabhi ke different work styles hote hain. They're not
Mm.
Someone's not talking like that to personally tick you off. That's just how they are. So if you're very comfortable with all of this, you're very comfortable with criticism, then I would say leadership is for you, and it's beautiful because
Mm.
you get to see all kinds of people. Like for example, today I actually had a call where in the startup I didn't speak at all. It was the first call where everybody else just they already knew what they were talking about. They ran with it. Otherwise I'm like, I'm training people, I'm teaching people, we're like setting up things. So for the past 3 to 4 months, 6 months, everything I've worked, and today's call was the result, which is now I
Mm.
can step back and focus on the next thing. So it's very rewarding. But leadership's also a lot of like trust and accountability, transparency, and these are all very uncomfortable topics. So I would say, it's perfectly okay if you're extremely smart at what you do and you don't want to be a manager, you can continue doing what you're doing. That's really good. I've seen a lot of people, especially India, where this is the mindset: if I'm a very good engineer, I should become an engineering manager. And then I worked in a team where the manager was just, oh my God, he was a brilliant developer, but he had no business managing people. different skill sets. So I think you should do what you love, and it's good for your, like, your mental health, your career, your finances, everything. So I think if leadership is what calls to you, then you should definitely go for it.
Nice, love it, awesome. Again, thank you so much for like spending an hour with me. I did not think I would talk for an hour, but you're just an interesting personality. I was like, oh, I have
This
this
is
question,
actually
I
a
have this
very,
question.
this is a very energizing, like, conversation. It feels so easy also. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. What's the one final advice would you give to students who are planning to come to Canada for their masters?
Um, if you're coming to Canada for your masters, my one biggest recommendation is that you have to understand that Canada is not India. So you need to come to this place with the mindset of understanding the work culture, understanding the job market, understanding the rules of the game, and then play it. I constantly see people comparing Canada to India and being dissatisfied, and that's just a wrong attitude. If you've chosen to be here, either you should have understood the pros and cons, or put some effort into understanding it, because there's so many pros. For example, the biggest pro is in Canada, you can get mentored by extremely self made, successful people with no hierarchy, ego, all of
Mm,
that, which you would never get in like some other places in the world. So you need to think what is the positives and focus on that. And then I'm sure you'll be very successful.
love it. Awesome. Thank you, Santoshi, for doing this. Can't wait to bring you back. But again, thank you so much for everything. And I can't wait to, again bring you back. But this was
This
fun
was
conversation.
phenomenal. I love the conversation and thanks for hosting me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is fun. Cool.